Welcome back to another episode of Book Talk. Book Thief is a complex, tragic, and outstandingly beautiful story. It was released in 2005. Written by Australian writer Markus Zusak, the book is a historical fiction. Book Thief is a coming-of-age story which follows a girl who's trying to figure out her life in the midst of chaos. The story is set in Himmel Street in Nazi Germany at the start of World War II. It gives an amazing insight to German life under the Nazi rule and allows the reader to understand the events of war through Liesel, who is the protagonist of the story. Liesel is matured for her age because of the trauma she had to continuously get through. Watching her facing the cruel obstacles of life was heartbreaking. The author spoils you about what's going to happen in the story. He says, here's a list of characters, but they all die. It spikes the curiosity in the reader with anticipation about how it's going to unfold. Liesel lives with her foster parents, Hans and Rosa. Hans was a rough old man with a lot of love in his heart. He taught her how to read. Liesel found solace in her neighbor and best friend, Rudy. My favorite character of the book is Max, the Jewish man who seeks refuge in Liesel's basement. Max leaves an impact on Liesel's perception of the world. He asks her the right question which makes her to think higher. One of my favorites were when he asked her, if your eyes could speak, what would they say? The story discusses the power of words and language. What makes Liesel different is her power to create a broader world through her writing. How Book Thief stands out from other books is the uncommon narration. The story is told through the eyes of death. The author changes the general outlook towards death being evil, all-powerful demon. He portrays it as a normal guy doing his job. It's not good or evil, but simply an unavoidable part of life. Death feels a peculiar connection with Liesel and empathize with her. Even though Liesel was special to death, they had to encounter each other a lot of times throughout her life. Death, whose voice is the one narrating Liesel's story, makes me consider the entire story with a different eye, and feels particularly bizarre how he, who has always been associated with morbid things, can actually feel grief and cry over a young boy's death while carrying him in his arms. Germany in the 1930s was a very dark period, yet the author inculcates cheerful moments in the story. He finds humor and joy in the smallest of things from a 12-year-old girl's perspective. One of my favorites was how he described the colors of the sky whenever he collected someone's soul. Being a thought-provoking narrative, it has to be read and processed slowly, taking your time to read between the lines. Every character has layers and depth which shows the thought put in for character development. The author throws in German words in between conversations which makes it seem more real. It's a beautifully crafted work of art with an authentic narration. Zusak's way of writing is beyond talented. Telling the story from Death's perspective was an effective way of storytelling because it was very prevalent at that time of war. The book leaves a permanent impression in your mind. It creates a brand new sense of respect for life and mortality. It invokes feelings with the same intensity each time you read it. I highly recommend this book for beginners.